There are many Americans and many around the world that are asking the same question you're asking. How do I know if I'm a sex addict? In fact, 30 million Americans struggle with sex addiction, and studies show that 1.6 billion people around the world struggle with sex addiction. And many of these people feel hopeless. Many of these people have tried stopping their sexually addictive behaviors to no avail. Studies have shown that 72% of sex addicts think about suicide, and 17% of sex addicts attempt suicide. In the United States, that's about 5 million people. And if you're struggling with sex addiction and you want to know if you're a sex addict, you're in the right place. I'm going to discuss today 3 categories that if you fit in, you're likely a sex addict. I would like you to go to my website, and I'd like you to download a free ebook, 5 Phases of Recovery and Transformation from Sex Addiction. It's a free ebook. It's approximately 45 to 50 pages, and it goes through all the phases of recovering from sex addiction, from the first phase when you recognize you might have a problem, to the last phase when you become spiritually mature and you're sober from sexually acting out behaviors and you're living life as the man you were created to be. So let's take a look at those 3 categories, and we're going to discuss them briefly here today. So this video will be kept relatively short. We're going to get right to the point. So here are the 3. 1, I want to stop acting out in sexually addictive behaviors and can't. 2, I put my health, profession, and relationship in jeopardy. And number 3, my life is unmanageable. So the first one and foremost is I want to stop acting out in sexually addictive ways, but can't. And if you're like most sex addicts, you have made promises to yourself, you have put effort and diligence in not acting out sexually, and yet to no avail, you return right back to those behaviors. Sometimes in weeks, sometimes in days, sometimes in hours. You make a promise at 10 a.m., you're never going to do that again, and by 11:30, you're at it again, and you're baffled. You're baffled at the insidious nature and the powerful nature of your sex addiction. And you're at such a point in life where you feel hopeless. You feel as though you'll never stop acting out sexually. You have a very negative, self-loathing inner dialogue, and you're living life feeling inferior. And that's in essence what comes from being able to or not being able to stop acting out sexually. We tend to get a feeling of inferiority. We get a feeling of not fitting in with other people, being less than. And we develop a self-hatred because I am not a good man, because I can't stop acting out sexually. Perhaps you've read books and you've done research online. Perhaps you've even seen a therapist. And yet you go back again and again acting out sexually. And if you fit in this category where you want to stop acting out sexually repeatedly, going back to those behaviors, and you feel as though you can't stop once you start, it's probable that you are a sex addict. There's another category, and the second category is this. I put my health, profession, and relationship in jeopardy. You act out in sexual ways where you're living in secrecy. If anyone were to find out, you could lose your job because you're using the computer for pornography. You could lose your relationship because you're having affairs and cheating on the side. You're putting your health at risk because you're having unsafe sexual encounters with anonymous men where you can get STDs and then bring it home and bring it to your partner. You're putting everything in jeopardy. And in spite of that, you continue to act out sexually. You're starting to live a life where you're looking over your shoulder, your right and left shoulder constantly. You have eyes behind you, seeing if anyone is seeing what you have done. You're living in secrecy and shame and feel guilty for the things you've done. And you're putting everything in jeopardy. You're putting your own peace and serenity in jeopardy time and time again. You seemingly, again, can't stop. And you put everything in jeopardy in spite of, perhaps even you got caught, and yet you continue to go back to those behaviors again in spite of getting caught. And you just can't understand how you can't stop these behaviors. If you fit in this category, it is probable that you are a sex addict. And category number 3, my life is unmanageable. If your life becomes unmanageable and you're acting out sexually and you seem to be holding it together for a little while, but pieces and after pieces after pieces after pieces of your life are falling apart one after another. And what you get from living a life of unmanageability is anxiety. You get filled with anxiety, and that anxiety leads to stress, and that'll affect the way you eat, that'll affect your focus, that'll affect your goals, that'll affect your focus at work, in your relationship, how you feel around people, socializing, perhaps insomnia. It'll affect so many areas of your life. It'll make you sick. You lost your job, you lost a relationship, your partner left you. People were shocked when they found out what you did, and yet you continue doing those behaviors. So your life is becoming unmanageable. And if you fit in this category, you're likely to be a sex addict as well. And all 3 of these categories give you these 3 feelings: inferiority, living as an imposter, and filled with anxiety. And when you're putting your jobs and your relationship and your health at risk, that's when you're living as an imposter. You're fake. You're fake to the people that you're living with. You're fake to the people at work. Yet, behind the scenes, in the dark alleys, so to speak, you're acting out in sexual ways. You're an imposter. You're a man that wears masks everywhere you go. So inferiority, being an imposter, and having anxiety are the 3 feelings that you're going to have about yourself and life if you're a sex addict and you're acting out in sexually addictive ways. So the question is, how do I know if I'm a sex addict? If you want to stop but you can't, if you're putting your job, your relationship, and your health in jeopardy, and your life is unmanageable, you are likely a sex addict. And there's a way out. There's a way for you to get better. There's a way for you to improve. There's a way for you to free yourself of sex addiction. On my channel here, every Tuesday I post a video to help you break free from sex addiction and gain self-mastery over your life. So if you would like to see these videos every Tuesday, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button if anything in this video resonated with you and you feel as though that, this is something that you need help with your sex addiction. Also hit that bell, because if you hit that bell, you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. Every Tuesday, I'll have a video here that will help you improve your life and free yourself from sex addiction. Also, again, go to my website so you can get this free ebook, 5 Phases of Recovery and Transformation from Sex Addiction. This ebook gives you all the 5 phases that you will have from sex addiction, from the recognition phase, where you are probably right now, recognizing you might be a sex addict, to the spiritual maturity phase, when you're at a point where you are free, completely free from sex addiction for the rest of your life. And again, please stay here on my YouTube channel. Watch the videos that I've already posted over the last several months, and you will gain mastery over yourself and free yourself from sex addiction for good.